You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show of the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We're doing a little bonus episode because we have so many leftover callers. And since I missed an episode, I'll take the blame for that one. And I'll make it up to you. This is going to be a little pre-noon / Vikings watch party / Packernet After Dark episode. For reference, Brian O'Neill went down. The Steelers just drove down and scored. What started off and looked like this was going to be the Vikings steamrolling the Steelers. At least the Steelers have shown a little bit of fight, and this should be a good game. Hopefully not. Hopefully the Steelers just steamroll them, but that's where I'm at. And now my stream just shut down. So that might be the end of the game for me. So, Kyle, do me a favor and entertain me, please.
Ryan, how you doing, man? Kyle from Madison.
Oh, good.
So, I just wanted to call you because there's this thing that happens every year, and I freaking hate it. But I'm so sick of people using this transitive property on the Packers. You know what I mean?
Not
I
yet.
think that's what it's called. Yeah, transitive property. So, like, Team A plays Team B.
Oh, yeah. I get
Team
what you're
plays
saying.
Team B. And then you compare the results, and then people will be like, oh, well, you lost, or you won by less.
Therefore,
Team A is better. You know what I'm saying? So, like, for example, if the Packers lose to or don't win by as much as Chicago did against Dallas, Bears fans will be like, well, you were better than you because we both played Dallas, right?
Right.
And it's just stupid. Every year this happens, and it just, the logic doesn't work because as the season goes through, as you go through the season, like, enough people have lost where it's just a circular firing squad of nonsense. But then they bust out the old, oh yeah, that was earlier in the season. I mean, like, within the last few weeks, right? Then that's the argument. You just can't argue with these people.
No, it doesn't work.
Look, any week, anything can happen, and it doesn't matter what had happened, I don't think, in the previous weeks. But there's going to be a lot of that going on this week with our back-to-back common opponent with Chicago. So I have to admit, when I was looking at this schedule, and after we opened up so hot in the first 2 weeks, I kind of looked at this Dallas game thinking, that could be like an emotional letdown game. That, you know what I mean? Well, after the events of the previous weekend, those thoughts are not in my mind. I'm not saying we're 100% going to beat them, but it's going to be real interesting to see how, to a man in that locker room, people get their heads out of their ass. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's much less about the defense. I think they played damn near. They had some moments, but, like, that was a really stellar defensive performance. There's some stuff you got to clean up, but compared to the offense. But I'm really eager to see how these guys respond to some adversity, and it's going to tell us an awful lot about this team. I think how they come out and how they play against the Cowboys, and looks like we're getting the Cowboys at the right time. If I'm looking at the injury report correctly, but I want to see. We got to execute, man. So it's going to be hopefully a fun week, man. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, the whole A beat B, who beat C, therefore A is better than C thing sounds great in theory. It definitely works as far as logic is concerned, in other areas. If A is equal to B and B is equal to C, then A is equal to C. That is logically true, but that's not really what we're talking about. And just off the top of my head, how could that be possible? Because you can't, dispel logic. It's because, again, this isn't, it's not even fair to say Madden, because even Madden doesn't do this, but this Madden-esque idea of the thing that you are is the thing that you always are, and you are exactly that at all times and perfectly. There's no noise, there's no chance, there's no random outcomes. Everything is just your talent, which doesn't fluctuate, like as a team, against my talent, which doesn't fluctuate as a team. And there's also no such thing as matchups, where your strengths happen to be better against my strengths, but not so much against this person's strengths. That's also not a thing. That's the only way that could possibly work. And of course, that has nothing to do with the NFL at all. And it's hard to pin down a team. It really is. First of all, they don't play a ton of games, and so noise ends up representing a higher percentage of the issues. It's such a massive team sport that you have one person with a bad day or any one number of things. I mean, it's so hard to pin anything down. There's also evolution. The fact that what I was last week, I'm not this week. And injuries, which play a part in that same process. And so, we try, and I do it all the time, trying to pin down how good a team is. But it really is difficult. And usually you say, well, by the end of the year, we get a better idea. But it kind of depends. Because it's not like after 12 games, we have a 12-game sample size, because half of those games are nonsense. The first 4 weeks, you are not the same team that you became. There's also going to be like 2 outlier games in there that don't really make sense and don't really seem to fit in with what it seems like you are. So it's just so hard to pin a team down as far as what it officially is. And then even if you can do that perfectly, there's still the outliers. In other words, I can pin you down to exactly how good you have been over this period of time. Okay, are you going to be exactly that in this game? Well, no, not necessarily. Okay, so even after perfectly narrowing down what you are, I don't know what you're going to be. Now that makes it hard too with analysis, because you want to remove outliers. But outliers make up such a large percentage of this already small sample size. It's like, then we don't have any data to use. So, these advanced metrics like DVOA and whatnot do a lot of heavy lifting, and they do a lot of good work, and it's good stuff. But it's ultimately an impossible goal. And yeah, people doing the, A beat B, B beat C, so A is better than C thing. I don't know. The only really good thing here is that we beat the Lions. And so anybody wanting to play that game, it's like the ultimate trump card. I mean, the Lions look very good. I'm hopeful that they're going to lose this week. I doubt it, but I'm, obviously hopeful. Which would be hilarious, by the way, because that means the Browns are basically the best team in football. They beat the Packers and the Lions. You know what I mean? Just the ultimate in stupidity. Anyways, we got to hurry up here. I'll stop rambling. Sorry.
Hey, Ryan, Beer Cheese Benny here. I was thinking about the offensive line.
Sure.
And Sunday, it seemed, I mentioned this before, but we moved around the offensive line way too much. Way too much, man. And I just don't think that that's conducive of anything productive, because what you do is you take guys out of their natural element of what they're good at. And specifically with Jordan Morgan, he doesn't play right tackle or right guard or wherever they had him. Like, I'm pretty sure he came in and, he's purely a left tackle. Now, the problem with that is you can't really put him at left tackle, because Rasheed Walker is, quite honestly, probably more proven. And so what do you do there? Well, I don't know. Maybe Rasheed Walker can still play very good at right guard or whatever, right tackle. Or maybe that's what they have to do, And I think they basically put Jordan Morgan in a position that he had, quite frankly, I'm pretty sure when I was listening to some podcast, I don't remember what it was, he hasn't played since he was in high school, and he barely even played in high school. And I think they tried to put a lot of attention on Myles Garrett, and that's fine, and I don't think that's the reason why everything was bad, but I think they got away from, they were so focused on that, they got away from, what made them good through the first 2 weeks. And, the interception by Love, looking back at it, I think it just wasn't a good play call, man. It's just like man coverage, everything on the left side there, and I just think it was set up for failure.
Once again, I just want to compliment you at your incredible ability, Beer Cheese, to naturally transition into an entirely new topic. You're very gifted at that. Let me touch on the first thing. So first of all, yes, and I've talked about the Jordan Morgan thing a lot. The problem is it's not that you said this, but it's not so much a decision the Packers made as it is necessity. Injuries cropped up, and we have to use Jordan Morgan in another spot. I think, again, they genuinely wanted Morgan to compete at left tackle. They genuinely felt he was could and would win that job. And not that we can really see up close, but if I were to guess at a certain point, I would have guessed that he was going to win. I mean, it was confusing because what the heck are we going to do with Rashid? Are we going to make him a backup for like a year and then lose him? It was kind of but the whole situation is weird. One way or another, something's going to be weird. But when Banks got hurt, the Packers had to put him at left guard. And remember, he came in, he was a right guard. Then he was a left tackle. Then he's a left guard. I don't know. I hope for his sake, leaving aside this whole season, because this season, just like last season where he got injured, is kind of just screwed. I hope at some point they're able to determine his best position and leave him at that position. I understand the benefit is that he's a flexible this, that, or the other. But just like the situation in Jacksonville with what's-his-name, where it's like, oh, he's a two-way player. Nobody's a two-way player. Okay, that's stupid. It's stupid. No, he's really good at ball. I don't give a crap what you think. Pick a position he's good at, and then train him as hard as you can to make sure that he actually can perform at that position. This idea that some people are bulletproof, that it's just no matter what, they're just going to be amazing. They're going to be great. Anywhere you put them, they're so flexible. They can do anything. Nobody is bust-proof, and their careers can be ruined by just screwing around too much. Again, we need Morgan because everybody's freaking hurt on our offensive line, so we need him to be able to move all over. We don't have a choice. I'm just talking about maybe next year, and I have a feeling it's going to be left tackle because we're probably going to lose Rasheed Walker. Anyway, that was a very long conversation with my wife who came down here, so I have no idea what we were talking about or where we left off, but why don't we just take a break? We'll be back. As a reminder, I always forget to come over here, which I apologize. Shout out to Justin Stewart, who joined up on Patreon. Appreciate you guys. Patreon.com/pack_daddy. Taco Fund is still running a bit dry over here, so got about 2 cancellations for every one person joining. So if you appreciate the work, 2 daily podcasts, call-in show, all the AI stuff, the music, any and all support would be greatly appreciated. Again, it's patreon.com/pack_daddy. If you'd rather do just sort of a one-time, here's something, I don't really want a regular payment thing, though. Venmo is Packernet Podcast. You can probably tell what the conversation with my wife was. The old, we have to stop spending money because we have none conversation. I love that conversation. It's the best. Take a break. We'll be right back.
Hey Ryan, it's Jersey Mike. So I'm thinking about what are the keys for this Cowboys game. And I've got 2 keys. Got 2 big keys. Numero uno. Our offensive line has to show that they learned their lesson. This is a very, very weak Dallas team. I don't think it would be too much to ask for me to say, keep him clean all game. Whoever allows a sack comes off the field. Like, that's what's going to happen. I'm going to give you a chance because the Browns game was just a punch in the face. A lot of people went down. That's not very great. The people that we should be relying on went down, which is not very great. So the expectation needs to be that this Cowboys team is weak, and there's an aged Kenny Clark on the opposing team, and we know him. You better shut him down. You better. There ain't no question. Elton Jenkins, Rasheed Walker, if I see you 2 idiots make some dumb decisions, honestly, why am I going to have you on the field? I would rather see Jacob Monk out there. bro, according to everybody, he's got a problem with snapping the ball. But, like, I would rather see Jacob Monk out there than watch Elton Jenkins and Jordan Morgan and Rasheed Walker and whoever, Sean Ryan and frickin' Belton out there looking like bums. I would rather grab a bunch of kids from high school because here's the deal. When there are videos out there of you getting your butt beat so badly that the opposing defensive lineman goes to his sideline and makes the meanest of mean clips. And he's like, yeah, I beat him. I did a slick move to the inside. And as I go past him, he's yelling, Jordan! But he's talking about Rasheed Walker yelling at Jordan Love to run because Myles Garrett was hunting him down. Like, he didn't even touch him. Like, I get Myles Garrett is good. He is elite. I believe he's better than Parsons, actually, because he can basically do everything Parsons does, but he's a lot bigger and a lot stronger. So, Garrett's a slick right there, right? Anyway, expectations, offensive line, beat them. That's key number one. Key number two, did I say the offensive line was key number two? Whatever. I have another point. The other point is, oh yeah, that was Kenny Clark. The other point is you should be able to throw all over this defense. All day. All day. It should look like that playoff game all over again.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those kind of test games, I guess you could say, insofar as it's like, I mean, I'm willing to cut you some slack and just be like, I don't know, it was a fluke, but you have to prove to me that was just a fluke. You know, we're all going to come into this game a little bit looking at the Packers a little sideways. You know, like, I mean, that was a fluke, right? Like, we're all in agreement on that, and you're not going to do that anymore, correct? We're all good, and you're right. I mean, there is going to be a feeling of first person that gives up a sack is like, you know what, I'm not doing this. Not doing this today. You can go sit down because this team is not even that good. We should be able to trust Monk to be able to handle these responsibilities. We should be able to trust just about anybody because these guys don't have really good pass rushers. And so it shouldn't be that big of an issue to block this team of all teams. I don't know, man. We'll see how she goes.
Hey, Ron, Jersey Mike. Sorry, I'll make sure that this one is more concise, if I can do that. Anyway, I think that we need to treat these Cowboys like we better stomp on their necks. And we better stomp on their necks. But I also think that this is another trap game. This is another game that can walk away from us real quick. We can make some dumb decisions. Dallas could somehow block up our defense really good because they know Parsons and whatever, and something crazy happens. I doubt it, but this team is willing to show us how bad they want to be sometimes. We have said this year in and year out. The Packers beat themselves. That is a very common theme with Matt LaFleur. Now, yes, this team is young. It's been young for the past few years, and I'm with it. I get it. Young kids, they're not really as smart, but they are. They are. I was just intelligent at 23 as I am at 32. Okay? If anything, I understand the issues with some of these guys, but like you have to have better expectations. Now my hope is that this Browns game actually gave the offensive line a wake-up call. They realize how unelite they are right now, and they're going to strive every week, hopefully, to prove that they're not like the Browns game. It's going to be all season. This is going to be the narrative of this offensive line. I expect them to put up. I expect them to do better. Let's be real. Everybody was worried about the secondary all offseason. I was worried about the offensive line all offseason. We just thought it was good. You know, Jenkins moving to center and whoever the tough Banks is. I mean, some people have been nervous about Banks since day one. I have. And actually, I thought Morgan was the guy who should be there, but clearly not. So, and maybe it was supposed to be Belton, but with Tom down, that's no bueno. I don't know, man. Stuff with the offensive line is weird. We need to get it fixed. Let's kill Dallas. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, and again, it's ideally we're not talking about a bad offensive line. We're talking about a good offensive line that had a bad day. But yeah, I mean, there is no adequate explanation for what we saw. Right? I mean, again, first of all, explaining it away with youth doesn't make sense for a bunch of reasons. Number one, they're not 30, but they're not 20. This isn't their rookie season. These are guys that are seasoned offensive linemen. I mean, Rasheed Walker, again, he's not 30, but he's been a good offensive lineman for several years. Same with Elton Jenkins and Zach Tom and everybody else. So this whole, like, well, they're making mistakes because they're young, I mean, that's one of those things we zoom out so much. We're not even... It doesn't even make any sense. It makes sense if you just, and people love doing this. This is like a big social media thing, or you can call it a cope thing, or however you want to phrase it. But you zoom out so much that you can make these broad statements that seem to make sense as long as you zoom all the way out. Young teams make mistakes. That makes sense, right? Explain to me why all of a sudden guys that didn't make mistakes, that have been here for several years, are suddenly making mistakes. You don't have to zoom in that much for it to suddenly just not check out anymore. Maybe if it's Morgan and Belton or whatever, and Morgan was responsible for a lot of it, but if that was it, that would be an entirely different conversation. That's not it. This isn't just like, Elton is great and Rasheed is great and Sean Ryan is great and everything's fine and Banks is great when he's out there because he's a veteran. It's just when Morgan goes out there, he gets 500 penalties because he's young, which even that doesn't check out. Does every rookie get all those penalties? Of course not. So, I think we kind of... Youth is a thing, but let's not make it a bigger thing than it is. As far as being as smart at 23 as 33, I mean, it depends what you mean by smart, I guess.
To quote Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. Well, I back. Yes, I am back, Ryan, from a very, very long hiatus. No, I wasn't in a coma. The last Sunday, I wish I was. Just had a lot of life stuff going on.
Get it.
Never stopped listening to you.
Appreciate it.
Didn't have it in me to call in. So I'm going to make this quick. Last Sunday, if you had told me that Matt LeBlanc was the coach,
someone is at the front door.
I don't
and
care.
Rachel, Phoebe, and Monica were the offensive linemen, I would have probably believed you, watching how bad it looked. Frankly, I think Monica has more moxie in her to block than some of our guys did. And I know that I really appreciate the Bankert highlight of explaining the silent counts and stuff. It's good to know that the other team basically were stealing signs and knew exactly when we were going to snap. And you're right, I'm more frustrated than anything that they run the ball down to the very last second before they snap it. It seems like it takes away all your advantages.
Yep.
But I don't know, man. Dallas, I usually would say I'm very, very confident. But now I've lost all confidence just because anything can happen or will happen. And it's just one of those things right now. I want to see the Pack do well and restore our confidence in them before the bye week, because this has been a long freaking week, man.
So
the
long.
Bears
Holy cow.
won. And above all else, they beat Dallas, who we're now playing, so we're going to be compared to that team.
Exactly.
That, to me, is just...
Well, and that's the other annoying thing, and I already forgot who it was. Kyle who said it, but if we beat them by 7, or what, I don't remember how much the Bears beat them by. It feels like it was 1,000. But the Bears fans and everybody else are going to be like, "Oh, see, you're not. That's all you could do. We did better than that." No. So there is going to be that comparison thing, which is extremely annoying. Which I'm trying to keep an even. I get a little moody after stressful conversations, but this Steelers game, dude, I'm ready to reach through and just strangle everybody. The Vikings need to lose this game for my sanity. I feel like I'm watching a Packers game with this Pittsburgh Steelers team. Like, just put it away. Put it away. Win the game. Put it away. Oh, nice throw, Rodgers, you freaking idiot. Oh, yeah, nice penalty. Another penalty. Way to go. Oh, you couldn't get a first down there. Now you got to punt, give the ball back, and keep them in it. Oh, yeah. But it's like, if the Vikings come back and win this, and then we got to watch Detroit beat Cleveland, and Chicago beat the Raiders, and then all eyes on the Packers, and even if the Packers win by, it's like, This has been the longest week of my entire life. And as much as it sounds silly to hear you call in and say I have no confidence or whatever, it's really not, because that's what happens when stuff like this happens. That is the drawback. Getting back to yesterday's question of which would you rather have, losing to the elite teams or being able to beat the elite teams, but losing these random garbage teams with just horrifically bad performances. The problem with this is you just have no faith in the team anymore. It doesn't matter who you're playing. You always feel like, I bet we're going to lose this. And beating Dallas would help that. But I don't know that ever goes away, because Cleveland happened. But I just feel like for everybody's sanity, even if it means the NFC North does a clean sweep, I'll take it. I'll take a sweep, man. I'm fine acknowledging that Minnesota's probably a pretty good team now, even though Wentz on one hand, Wentz looks amazing. He looks elite. Like, he's doing these sidearm throws with pressure in his face to get. It's like, I just can't handle this crap. Why is everybody just an elite quarterback all the freaking time? Why can't guys just be bad quarterbacks when I need them to be? If Wentz was playing for the Giants, he'd be a joke, but he's a Viking, so it has to be like this elite thing, right? We had a good thing with J.J. McCarthy, and that piece of glass gets broken again. But then he'll throw like the worst interception you've seen, although that one pass might have been tipped. I'm not positive. I'm half paying attention, and you recognize it's like, okay, so they're going to be a good team that isn't going to be good enough to win the Super Bowl because, they're going to have just too many of those type of situations, but they're probably going to be good enough to come back and beat the frickin' Steelers, and I'm going to lose it. Rodgers, if you don't put this game away, I swear. It's 14-6, 11 minutes left in the third. Anyways, freaking stressed out, man.
Oh, dude, we better curb stomp them.
I know.
Curb stomp them big time.
I know.
Anyways.
But it's probably better to just not even go there. Let's watch the game, enjoy the game, and then hope that by the end of it, we're talking about a win. And then we'll deal with the repercussions from there. But for right now, we just have to win, because a loss is devastating. Anything other than a loss is going to be a significant improvement over a loss.
I'll try to make a few calls here and there, try to boost up a little bit my feelings for how I feel the team's going to do. But just let you know, I didn't go anywhere. I'm still here. So, faithful listener from day one, OG, caller.
Appreciate you, Garrett. Appreciate you, man. Why don't we take a break? We just got 4 calls left. We got Garrett, Jamie, Drew. So, we'll take a break. We'll be right back. Freaking first down. I know the Steelers are not a powerhouse football team, so I shouldn't be expecting these things, but it's like, can you just ever cover anybody? Ever? Everybody's open all the time. I've never seen a quarterback have an easier job in my life, aside from occasionally having pressure in his face, and of course he's able to deliver with pressure in his face, but you guys suck so bad. It's starting to really annoy me.
And usually every year I'm reminding you of to tell everyone to get their picks in and predict what the season's going to be like. And I know I'm late to the party, and I know that 3 games have happened. But to be honest, my pick, I'm going to stand with what I thought before the season started. I thought that they were going to have a very good chance of going 14-3. So, considering what had happened this last weekend, I'm still going to hold fast to the 14-3. So, we'll see what happens, but I'm still going to remain optimistic.
And the Vikings are driving down the field because you can't put them away, Rodgers. You frickin' old dork. I knew this was going to happen. And that kind of, the 14-3 thing goes back to what I was talking about yesterday or whatever, where it's like, we know that we're going to win some games and lose some games. We know that we're probably going to be winning enough games to get to the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, this still all falls within the realm of what we expect to happen. So I'll take that as further evidence, the fact that Garrett is calling in despair while still believing we're going to win 14 games this year. I mean, that's Packer fan despair.
Hey, Ryan, it's Jamie from Janesville here. Haven't called in a while.
What's up, man?
I just wanted to call and apologize to everybody. I know what happened in the Dallas game. My wife decided to wear a cute Packers shirt, in her words, instead of her lucky jersey. So just letting everybody know that it was her fault, and we can quit complaining about the offense or the
good.
Matt LaFleur's play calling or anything else that happened. So it won't happen again.
Good.
Have a good day. Go Pack, go.
Well, I mean, I needed that. I needed that call. I appreciate that. I've been waiting for that call. Here I am saying, do I really have to blame the offensive line? I mean, it certainly felt like there was some kind of a curse placed on our team, considering how bad they were and everything. But maybe that's just what happened. But look, Jamie, you gotta put the pants on, brother. You gotta wear the pants. Carson Wentz ran for a first down on 3rd and 8. I'm supposed to believe this is a good defense? My Lord. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to put your foot down. And this is one of those times, She can run the whole house. And she can have all the pants she wants to wear, but the when it comes to the jersey, no, you gotta lay down the law there, brother man. Do me a favor, don't let your wife hear this, and I'll make sure my wife doesn't hear it either, because I don't want to get in trouble. Garrett, what's up?
Hey, Ryan, it's Garrett from Southern Illinois.
Finally sacked him.
I wanted to
balls out.
bring up something that I haven't honestly heard anybody say this on any of the podcasts that I've been listening to.
Okay.
And it's regarding what would be better, keeping Myers and re-sign him for a couple $1 million, literally, and keeping Jenkins at left guard versus this experiment of having Jenkins go to center and signing for a huge amount of money a guy that so far cannot stay healthy. I'm just curious what Myers' PFF grades look like so far playing for the Jets, and would that have been better? Honestly, last year I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I could have swore that our offensive line was one of the most consistently healthy offensive lines in the whole entire NFL, and we're not getting off to a very good start this year. And honestly, Jenkins has not looked all that.
Well, I don't know that we can blame Banks for the fact that everybody's getting injured all of a sudden, but yeah.
Great, and I agree. I think missing the off-season program and going to strip bars at noon on a Tuesday probably wasn't a good idea.
Pick! You stupid loser.
The guy is just not up to par.
That's what I just said. That is so funny. The Vikings look so good, and then just the dumbest thing ever. Now, Steelers offense needs to capitalize, but that was pretty funny. Pick to TJ Watt. Look, I mean, it's kind of a self-evident, the answer to your question is obvious. I mean, we're obviously a worse offensive line than last year. Now, we cannot look at what happened against the Browns and pretend that that's just what our offensive line is. That doesn't even make sense. Because if that's the case, everybody that was good last year, not just the new guy, everybody is just suddenly bad. And that doesn't make any sense. So I don't want to be, captured by the moment or whatever the stupid saying is, where we saw a thing and now that is our entire reality. The Packers, prior to the Cleveland Browns game, went into it with a top 10 offensive line. That's what they were. And I think that that's what they are. Now, leaving all that aside, I think the Banks thing was always stupid. Let me just go back to Banks real quick, because I just want to revisit this, because we talked about it very briefly when the Packers signed him, and I think I've kind of just been, using shorthand ever since then. Aaron Banks played for San Francisco and had a 61, 50, and 60 pass blocking grade. As far as, but he's 6'5", 325, he's a really good run blocker, 57, 55, and 69 run blocking grades. Well, PFF's not very good at grading offensive linemen, blah, blah, blah. Okay, how you feeling about it so far? Because we had week 1, 40 run blocking grade, 63 pass blocking grade. Week 2, injured. Week 3, 53 run blocking and 12 pass blocking. Even if they were perfectly equal, Banks and Myers, the cost alone would make Myers a better decision. There needs to be an upgrade from Myers to Banks for the cost to make sense. And as you said, even leaving aside, even if we said they're about the same player, which I think is somewhat fair. Obviously, Banks is having the worst year of his career by a mile. But even if you said they're about the same, because if you look at what he's been graded out as over the course of his career, it's similar to Josh Myers, although Myers might actually be a little bit better than what Banks has been. Again, not the Packers' assessment and the way they grade things, but clearly PFF's grades. But just the injuries alone, which, he had injury issues in 2024 just last year, and he's starting off the season this year with injury issues. And when he's on the field, I don't even want him on the field. I'd rather have Morgan in there, and Morgan's getting penalties every other play. But he's still so much better at blocking than Aaron Banks is. So, look, it's early. He's played 2 games. It's possible. We have to see, first of all, more than 3 weeks. We have to get past this Cleveland game because everybody thinks our offensive line is worse than it is because of the Cleveland game. We need to get back healthy. We need to give these guys time to work together. Maybe this is going to work out. I'm not going to sit here and do victory laps about my Aaron Banks take yet because he has not been on the team long enough. Finally got a freaking touchdown. I have to be quiet though because my son is a little bit behind on the other TV. Wait for the screaming. Wait for it. Wait for it. Did you hear that? I'm still willing to be patient. The Packers had a vision for Aaron Banks and how he can help them run the ball the way that they want to run the ball and all that stuff. So, even as somebody who didn't like the signing, I'm willing to be patient on this. We have to have our entire offensive line working together, healthy for several weeks for them to kind of get this figured out. And it has not really been a thing. Now, am I massively optimistic that I'm going to come around full circle to Aaron Banks? No. Been saying since day one this stinks of Billy Turner all over again. But, whatever. My hope is that he can at least get back to what he was in San Francisco, which will mean that he is about on par with what we had out of Josh Myers. Again, the cost makes it not great, but frickin' whatever. You know what I mean? We just got to get back to that. And hopefully PFF just sucks at their grading and whatnot. And to be fair, in San Francisco, we did take a step, almost a 70 run blocking grade, but you know how I feel about that stuff when you have one outlier year and then a team jumps on it as though it's like a real thing. It's like, no, that's not how that works. Whatever. I don't know, man. I don't freaking know. Again, we just got to get past the Cleveland game and get back to the offensive line being what it has been, not just for the first 2 weeks, but for the last several years. And then we can more properly assess what Aaron Banks is. That, of course, depends on when he decides he's going to play. I don't know. It's whatever, man. It's not great. Not great, Bob.
Hey, Ryan, it's Drew from Green Bay, and I just wanted to say that, back in 2024, Jason Vrabel became the passing game coordinator. And so we got this new wide receiver coach, Ryan Mahaffey. And I just don't know that he's helping our wide receivers take a step. So it's a little early, 3 games in this year, and he only had last year. But, I think this is a big game, and then we can look at it during the bye. But, Dobbs isn't seemingly growing very much. I mean, he seems to have leveled off.
This freaking return is almost all the way down there. I don't know. I mean, again, it like you said, it's way too early to assess any of that. First of all, the drops have gone to basically 0. Dobbs, I think, actually looks quite good from my perspective. I think he looks really good. Again, last week is a bit of an outlier. So if we're going based off of Cleveland and saying that that's what we think the wide receivers are, I think that's a little unfair. What is our assessment through the first 2 weeks? Wicks, who is one of the worst at drops, has not had an issue. He's come blasting through my door, man. First of all, the wide receiver coach needed to be fired. I mean, the production from the receivers, the drops, all that stuff, it was horrific. And so we need a new guy. And again, it's way too early to be doing this, but I don't have a single complaint about a single receiver. Let's put it that way. So I don't know if you're, again, coming from a place of last week nobody got open, which, again, if you go watch it, it's really hard to critique the players as much as the play calling. Because, again, they seemingly were just running right into the defenders. There is no way to get open when you're, cutting into the middle of the field right where a linebacker is standing, That's not a talent issue. That's a bad play call issue. So I don't know if that's where you're coming from, but I haven't had any issues with any of the receivers. I think they're looking real good. Oh, sack on third down. It's like the 3rd sack on 3rd down. Now we're rumbling. Now we're moving. Come on, boys. Please put this. Let's get this week started off right. You know what I mean? Last week was a disaster. I think we're owed a little bit. I think we dialed up the anti-Packers stuff a little bit too hard last week, man. We got our teeth kicked in every possible way. Vikings loss is a great way to start this off. Big return the other way. All right. Sorry. Yeah. So again, as far as let's see what else you got to say about the receiver situation.
I will say he did grow a little bit he's not dropping the ball as much, but outside of that, I don't think that alone is gonna be like super impressive.
Well, again, I'm trying to get where you're coming from on it. I mean, I don't know. Like, what would be the thing that you'd want to see that you're not seeing from Romeo Dobbs? I mean, I don't know that it's realistic to ever think he's going to become like Justin Jefferson or, I think, as I pointed out, and this was 2 weeks ago, again, Cleveland kind of screwed everything up, but we had like 3 number 1 receivers based on PFF grade after the first 2 weeks. And Dontavian Wicks right now is the 7th highest graded receiver in football, ahead of Justin Jefferson, who I keep saying is the best. He hasn't been for a couple years, but I use him as an example. He's sitting at 13th. It's not that I necessarily expect it to stay that way, but again, through 3 weeks, I don't have a lot of complaints. Let me sort by Packers and just see what the issue is. So Romeo, and again, a lot of this is just from this past week. He had 2 receptions for 25 yards and a 57 PFF grade. You know what I mean? So I could see that as being like, oh, that's not great or whatever, but especially on a team where they distribute the ball around. I mean, again, I thought maybe Golden would be that guy. I think even if things pick up, it's going to be too little too late. Reed was off to a phenomenal start, and he got hurt. I mean, I'm pretty happy with where everybody's at as far as the receivers are concerned.
Golden, I'd hoped for more by now. He's only got 68 yards.
Yeah, but that's just his production. I mean, if Jordan throws him the ball, he has more. If Jordan had thrown 2 better balls, he had 150 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game? It's got nothing to do with Golden, or certainly the wide receiver coach. That's a couple bad throws and a bunch of other plays where they could have thrown to Golden where he was open and didn't.
And he's been playing a decent amount, so to me that's not good enough. Reed had 45 yards in this short time. I think Reed he might be our best wide receiver, even though he doesn't get the credit. So, anyways, yeah, I just don't, Savion.
Yeah, Jaden Reed only has 3 receptions for 45 yards and a touchdown. But on the season, in his 15 pass plays, had a 90 PFF grade and an 87 receiving grade over those 2-ish games, basically one game, but off to an incredible start. About as good of a start as you can get in that small of a sample size. So, again, I have no issues whatsoever with the receivers. I think last week it was just an offense that couldn't get anything going because they couldn't run the ball. They couldn't pass because they couldn't pass block. And, erase Cleveland from your mind. That's all I can say.
Williams only has 1 yard on the receiving yard on the season. Like, that's kind of crazy.
Well, not really when you figure he's like wide receiver 7.
So we'll see. This guy's gonna obviously get the whole season, but I think that we should consider looking around, and if the wide receivers don't step up toward later in the season, because this has not been good so far. I thought Golden came in with a lot of talent. If he was a 4th, 5th, 6th round receiver, okay, he's gonna take time. But he was a first-round receiver that we could all see in the preseason, like in off-season.
I was hoping you were going to say that because the talent he showed in the preseason and off-season also would get credited to the wide receiver coach, right? So, and the talent is still, again, carried on into the regular season. They're just not getting him the ball. So it's not a Golden issue. He's running the right routes. He's got good hands. All the things that you would want from a wide receiver coach are there. It's up to Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love to get the ball in his hands.
That he had the talent from the start, so and it's just not translating right now. But anyways, what do you think about that? And do you think I'm overreacting? Or
yes?
But also, I really think we're gonna have a strong bounce back against Dallas. And Dallas doesn't have the defense Cleveland does to be able to implement the same strategy. And they don't have, a strong defensive line with great pass rushers or any of that. So I think we're going to crush them. Anyways, have a good day. Bye.
Again, just erase Cleveland from your mind, look at the first 2 weeks, and reevaluate what you're saying. I mean, if you still believe it, then all right. But I don't think you would. I think we're looking at Cleveland. We're putting way too much weight on the Cleveland game as being way bigger than of a representation of just what we are. And then just looking at raw stats of a team that has distributed the ball to way too many people. I mean, the passing offense is really not a problem. Yes, against Cleveland it was, but against Detroit and against Washington it was not a problem. We scored a ton of points. We got a ton of yards. Everything was going great. And specifically the wide receivers, specifically what you would want from a wide receiver coach, I can't think of anything that they're doing that I think is incorrect. I haven't heard a single complaint about the receivers doing wrong things. I'm much more concerned about our offensive line coach than our wide receiver coach. But I'm certainly not to the point about panic with really anybody, unless there was kind of panic coming into this. Like even Aaron Banks, who I came into this not happy with that signing, and it's been bad, and he's been injured. Even that is sort of a, let's see what happens, assuming he's going to come back at some point and play any a significant amount of time. Let's give him the season and see how it goes. Let's see if he has an opportunity to play healthy with a healthy offensive line, and if it starts to bring together that vision that obviously Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur saw when it came to Aaron Banks. Give them kind of the benefit of the doubt on that. As for the receivers, again, you can't really look at just the raw stats too much because I think we just have too many guys, especially when you factor in the tight ends and the running backs who are catching passes. It really just comes down to our passing offense as a whole. And even if, somebody starts popping off and becoming the guy, well then, should we be concerned about the other guys that are not getting as many yards? Because it's just about how evenly distributed the passing yards are going to be. So I haven't personally had any reason to be concerned about receivers. I don't think that's been There's not been a single point so far this year where I've thought that's been holding us back. Very upset with the constant injuries. This is the second year in a row we had guys off to a hot start, and then injuries took place. All right, we had Watson and Reed and was it Wicks last year? Or I don't know. It's always frickin' something. Somebody gets off to a start, and then something happens, and Watson's never out there, and now Reed's not out there, and Watson played 15 games last year. Dobbs played 14 games last year. It's like, man, it's just frustrating. Musgrave's always hurt, and gotta try to find a rhythm. Anyways, folks, I'm gonna get out of here. So far, looking pretty good as far as the Steelers game, pending some kind of a massive collapse here. A little bit left in the fourth quarter. I shouldn't say a little bit left. There's basically an entire fourth quarter left. But Steelers got the ball 25-yard line. Scratch that, 18-yard line, first down. Touchdown here, game's about over. All right, not going to do any crazy music and stuff because I want to just get this posted. So, big day today, folks. Need this one, Rogers. Thank you for your service. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.